Welcome to the Scum Zone. The zone where we discuss our unimportant opinions on important and unimportant albums.
Yes, we will be telling haunted stories of
Spooky stories.
Spooky.
Perfectly timed for October, the week this is going to be releasing.
No, maybe.
This is happening a day before Halloween.
Sure. Okay, yeah, sure.
Based on time zones, it'll be Halloween somewhere.
It's somewhere in the world.
Either way,
Halloween.
Welcome back to North American Scum.
Yes.
The show where we discuss our unimportant opinions on important and unimportant albums. Today's album is very important.
Very important in terms of
2112 by Rush.
Yes, very important. And very important in terms of Rush, and very important in terms of, just prog rock. Very influential.
Yep.
One of second highest selling album by Rush. Not that big of an achievement, but something.
Yeah.
It's something.
Yeah, no, it's not crazy or anything. It's just fucking amazing.
Yeah, no, fucking hell. This is what I was expecting. This is what I was waiting for. This is where I was like, I was waiting for something like this to come along in the Rush discography. Now, Caress of Steel is kind of like that. Did something similar, but didn't really click every single note for me. And to be fair, this album doesn't do that for me either. But in the proggy side of it, hot damn, this is an album. This is
an album.
Yes, sir. That's my review for today. 2112.
But either way, I mean, if you've been if you've been listening to the podcast up to this point, Rush's discography up to this point. They kind of started out as hard rock, more so than prog. Fly By Night, they got some prog ideas. Caress of Steel, they actually made a multi-movement song. And 2112, they actually... You'll see in this first track, 2112, off of 2112, that they actually seemed to learn how to craft one correctly.
Right, and not to say that the other previous two weren't crafted correctly. It's just that they've definitely improved in quality. The songwriting is better, but I think we'll discuss that as we go on. And like comparisons to Caress of Steel and what they didn't do too well in that album, which is kind of evident on this one too. We'll get into it. We'll get into it. It's not going to be as bitchy as that one. Even then, we weren't as bitchy on that one either. But still.
No, well, because Fountain of Lamneth existed and made me so happy that I couldn't be angry.
Now, 2112. You ready, Matt?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, this opening track. Should we discuss the movements first? Should we just go along?
Well, okay. We're gonna do it how we did it last time.
Okay. Yeah. So we're just gonna talk about
each movement is gonna be treated as a different song.
Kinda, yeah. I'd say along those lines. I don't have too much to talk about the actual music itself, because at this point it's kind of evident that Rush is just fantastic at their instrumentation. There's stuff in here where it's like, obviously there's going to be a fantastic guitar solo. Obviously Geddy Lee, his vocals are amazing, and obviously Neil Peart is one of the best drummers of all time. I think I'm starting to solidify that in my mind. Yep. But it's more about the details of this story that's being told, which opens up with a bunch of otherworldly synths sending us into this new universe, new planet that the story takes place in. And then the band comes in playing a bunch of motifs from the entire song. Yep. Which I'm sure you and I mean, I when I first went through it, I didn't recognize it. But once I listened to the album and listened to the song multiple times, I was like, oh, I started noticing the bits then and there. Like, they're the motifs, like, popping up here and there.
And if you notice them, I definitely noticed them.
Yeah.
Which I did on the second listen.
I'm wondering, like, I know you have, like, your favorite Rush albums. I'm wondering where 2112 sits in this list of, like, your favorites, at least from what I know.
Well, this is opening a can of worms already. But okay. 2112, the album sits probably in, like, I don't know, spot number 4.
Okay.
Or 5.
I know what number 1 is.
If 2112 was just song number 1, it's probably in, like, 2nd or 3rd place.
Okay. So, either way, we'll discuss that as we go on. And after the suites of motifs and instruments, the first lyrics of the record are spoken after 4 minutes in, and the meek shall inherit the earth. Already.
It fucking explodes into actual explosions, and then the meek shall inherit the earth. Also, At 4:07, 4 minutes and 7 seconds in, Alex Lifeson decides to play this musical motif that I can't fucking remember what classical piece it's from, that goes da 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 da.
You asked me that before the podcast. I still don't know where it's from. I tried to search it up again, and I don't know. I know if someone,
I don't know what it is.
One of you can answer.
For some reason, he decides to just fucking play that motif, and it takes me out of it so goddamn hard every single time.
I didn't
it's a very strange choice. It's cool. I like it.
You always
but it's
notice the weird fucking motifs or comparisons that never make sense to me because they never take me out, and it's always you. But that, whatever, sure. The meek shall inherit the earth. A direct quote from the Bible in reference to those who are quiet, gentle, submissive, easily imposed on. They will take over the earth.
Bottoms will take over the earth.
What? Okay, so
the way Jesus intended it.
Already, we're at a. I guess knowing what comes ahead of us, it's already like a big quote. It has a lot to interpret, especially considering the story that's about to ensue. Yeah, but which I guess we can move on into
Movement 2, Temples of Syrinx, where I am digging Getty's vocals so hard, and the fact that he's just ripping this first verse out is just magnifico, molto bene.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
It's the first proper song structure, or at least part structure on the album that feels like a song. It is. These are all still sections, and they're really well connected to each other, that if you didn't have, I don't know, like some sort of guide with you or lyrics open, these could all seamlessly blend into each other pretty well as like one entire song.
Yeah.
But so yeah, they meld the hard rock composition of previous albums and the prog rock instrumentation near perfectly here. Neil Peart's drumming is extremely strong as usual, and it just seems to be getting better. It seems like he's getting more toms with each fucking album. Like, he's just getting more drums with each album. And then if you've seen his drum set,
right now his drum set is only a semicircle.
It's just going to get bigger as we go. But yeah. It's same with the storytelling. Yeah, it's just vague enough and subtle enough to keep me intrigued while also not being too blunt. And something to note that this song in particular, compared to some of their other proggier stuff, is, at least earlier, is pretty straightforward when it comes to what is literally happening in the story, with a few exceptions.
The storytelling here is definitely objectively better than I think it was in Necromancer and Fountain of Lamneth.
Yeah, it's. I think a lot, like I said earlier, a lot of discussion lies in what the details mean more than anything, and what, like, you can dig. Frankly, you can dig very, very hard into the song, especially because
what it's an allegory for.
Yeah, because
how it's Rush's 1984.
It's oh no, that's, well, I mean, maybe
it
but
is. It literally is.
It's inspired by your favorite and Rand anthem, which is a topic they've covered before.
Gross.
Which is, I'm surprised you didn't catch that, but I mean, I guess not, since you're not the biggest fan. We're not going to discuss that today, though. It is inspired by that, so it does have a lot to dig into politically and, I guess, philosophically, if you want, and, like, I don't know, the submission of man or whatever, the mysterious things. It's Rush. There's always a lot to dig into with something like this. But introduced here are the priests of the Temples of Syrinx, a group of powerful individuals who have totalitarian rule over the Solar Federation, which is where the story takes place. Mm-hmm. And this is these lyrics in the beginning, the first part, are written in a positive light, showing what good the priests have done for their society. But as we learn, it's all controlled. The media and everything that the public reads and sees is specifically chosen to keep the peace by those priests. Creative works don't seem to exist, and that's the basis of the story.
Now, obviously, the priests of the Temples of Syrinx are a parody of 6969's Dick Elders, and specifically the line "Let the banners be unfurled" is it's quoting it. The line in 6969, "Let the boner banners be unfurled."
You know. Jokes aside, I did re-listen to 6969 now that I understood 2112 earlier today before I came into this. Yeah, it's cute. It's cute homage. It's funny. It's funnier now that I like talking about Ninja Sex Party's album. It's funnier now that I understand it, but
Mhm.
I'm not opening that album up again. I don't think I want to. Not right now, at least. With something as, like, not as serious as Rush's 2112, but, like, there's a lot more going on.
I don't know what you're talking about. 6969 made me horrifically emotional.
Oh, how...
What I
how
really like
yeah.
about the actual Temples of Syrinx movement, while they're being portrayed as benevolent in this first part, you can hear in Getty's delivery the sheer power that they have. Throughout this
Yeah.
whole multi-movement song, anytime the priests are talking, Getty's just ripping out his vocals.
Like, with such authority. Then I was going to mention that later in another part. It's like you can tell that they have that supreme rule over the people, and that their word is final. And I absolutely love in the performance of this. And it leads, like I said, it leads to the idea that these people are supposed to be subservient, passive, and that this absolute rocker of a song presenting that leads us into the next part.
Probably my favorite part in 2112, Discovery.
My favorite part, for one specific reason, and it's just to describe it, it transitions over to sounds of flowing water alongside someone picking up a guitar, tuning it, and playing it, which it's so implanted in my head, just picking up a guitar and hearing, like, the beginning of this song, like, play out as I tune my guitar into, and, like, exactly basically what he's doing, just fumbling around with it, especially when I was a beginner, because that's what it would sound like. It sounds like nonsense. Or if you want to be more specific, it sounds like your average person trying out a guitar at a Guitar Center alongside 6 others playing something all different, all a bit too loud, which is also a memory that's, like, just viscerally in my head when I hear the beginning of this.
And that's also why this is my favorite part, because it's such a great representation of somebody's first time touching a guitar. Our protagonist...
There'd be more chaos, but yeah, the protagonist...
Our protagonist finds the guitar in this hidden cave behind a waterfall, assumedly outside of the temples. And Alex Lifeson, being the fucking great actor that he is, gives you he's able to create the whole image of what this character is doing just by playing the guitar.
Yeah, I mean, he's, like, basically doing a bunch of, like, of course, tuning it is the one thing you hear, but he also does some harmonics with his fingers, and like, it's just something that someone who's just fumbling around with a guitar would do, expert or beginner, if they know those sort of things. Either way, that protagonist in this story has found a device that allows him to play beautiful music. He doesn't know what it is, since the priests have kind of suppressed all forms of music or media that isn't approved by them. And he thinks he's found something that they'll praise him for, something that'll bring new life into this world. The beauty of creativity in music, which is kind of another theme of this.
Mm-hmm.
Creativity, being free.
And I like that the tune that he actually ends up settling on sounds really childish and playful and upbeat.
And then I love how it, he keeps learning. I mean, it's not anyone who just picks up guitar for the first time is going to play like he does, but certainly it feels like he's learning and playing along as the track builds up into this, like, an optimistic jam session with himself. And with a blast of energy, we're sent into the third or fourth part of the song, Presentation. A particularly soft rock section with burst of energy to signal kind of the conversation switching between the priests and the protagonist here.
Well, compared to Discovery, the sound is a lot more filled out whenever Presentation starts, and you get a nice back and forth between the protagonist and the priests between each verse.
Yeah.
Where Getty brings back those harsh vocals every time the priests talk to show off their power, like I was talking about earlier. And it's nice because you're able to sonically tell that you're able to see the innocence in the protagonist's voice and the priests just shooting him down so harshly every single time he brings anything up.
Yeah, it's like because it's just whenever the protagonist is just speaking, it's just him. One track of vocals and then some reverb, while the priests are they're double track. Of course, Getty's doing that performance, but then they're either double tracked or chorused up, or I'm really unsure. But it has that energy that really you can tell. Not only that, but the music flares up too. You can tell that they're giving so much power to their words, basically. And the protagonist himself, presents the instrument to them. The priests begin to argue that the guitar is of ancient ways and ancient ways that destroyed the elder race of man, as we find out. And he keeps arguing towards the instruments as it's like something for creativity, something to blossom, something to make the world like just a better place, but is eventually told to just leave and forget about the guitar. So I'm surprised the priest didn't outright just kill him or something like that, or like eliminate him. I don't know why I thought that would happen.
I don't think they would do that. I don't think that's the characters. That's
No,
like too harsh. What I really like is whenever the priests shoot him down for the second time, he responds with a fucking guitar solo.
I'm not sure what happens there.
I like to imagine that the guitar solo is the protagonist putting every ounce of spirit he has into playing the guitar and just hoping to get his point, like, across, and is just answered by silence, because right when the guitar solo's over, it just dips away. The sound just dips away.
That's a good interpretation. I like that. I was just thinking that was what he was playing to them while he was talking, you know. Imagine the guitar solo playing over their conversation.
I don't think that, yeah.
No, but he's like, here's the music, here's the beautiful music.
Well, he does talk before the guitar solo separately, so I don't think that could happen.
I don't know. Like, this is all, it's hard to discern. I mean, like I said, a lot of this is obvious, but then a lot of it's open to interpretation. In this case,
it's like a book.
Work, literally.
He has, I love Pert's writing in this so much because he literally gives you just exposition and you create the entire world in your mind. It's like, it's like Trench and Dima.
I knew it was going to come up. Eventually, I knew it was going to come up.
Because it's just good world building, and it's world building that we've talked about on the podcast, where everybody's interpretation of what Dima looks like is going to be different. Everybody's interpretation of what the temples of Syrinx look like is going to be different.
This podcast has so many albums and songs that are like developed into its DNA, and the Trench is definitely one of them. That it's no doubt. I was like, it's gonna come up. This is gonna come up again, and he's mad.
This is the 21 Pilots podcast.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know if Tyler Joseph took any inspiration from Rush, but either way, if he did, then yeah, Trench is a fantastic album for it. Just all the more better. But still, and going to, I guess, switching over to the pacing, each part has been paced so well with these constant high points and low points to keep interest strong into the song. Like, it's consistently up and down and up and down and up, and there's so many moments where you get a breather and then you get back into it.
Yeah, and both of those things happen in this next part, Oracle, space, the dream.
Yes.
Where you're taken into a dreary, kind of ethereal sound backed with dual reverbed, filtered, wad, Miku pedaled guitars. And it's wonderful because you feel the character falling asleep with the energy just slowly going further down and down. And once he actually passes out, his voice, like, what's the word?
It's delayed.
It feedbacks.
It feedback delays.
Yeah, there's a feedback loop.
The song just explodes into this ceremonious section while an oracle of an elder describes the dream.
I don't think it's an elder.
Well, it's an oracle for sure, but it's describing
he sees an oracle in the dream.
Yeah, and it's describing the life of the elder race and why. Well, it was revealed that they were once happy and lived creatively, but then the elders assumedly left because the priest took over. And the race is not dead, but they're just gone to another planet, hoping to take back their home one day. Yep. And that those two sides of the song both perfectly encapsulate him sleeping, and then boom, you're in the dream. And I absolutely love that.
And it's really emotional and touching. And I forgot to mention earlier that It's Most Unusual to Come Before You So is also a reference to 6969.
Shut up. So, this leads into Soliloquy, where he wakes up from that dream, despondent, knowing that life in the priest world will always be cold and empty. This is, for me at least, where things get vague with what specifically happens.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, of course, he is complaining and he is sad that he is stuck in this world with those first verses or whatever. But then that last moment after that, crying guitar solo, literally, like, it sounds like the guitar is crying. It's woeful. It's a hard rock section that is presented like that. The lyrics, my lifeblood spills over. Now, I have yet to really decide what happens here. I'm not exactly sure. I feel like the obvious answer is he kills himself. Yeah, right. But this, and then later on, the ending of the song is where, like, it really is open to whatever you feel. I think in this case, in my case, I'm still kind of deciding. I'd like to think more optimistically in this case that he does live, but it's also a very reasonable case that the dream he had was literally just a dream. And that none of that really ever happened, and the elders did really die, you know? I don't know. It's just an idea that I feel like could have happened.
Either way for me, I think he knows that he can't prove it wasn't a dream. Mm-hmm. But either way, that's a world that he's envisioned that is so great and so realistic to his mind at the same time that it sends him into a deep depression. But what I like is that when he's, like, kind of hit this level of despair and sadness and depression, instead of the music getting drab and dreary, it picks up quite a bit. It's still low tempo, but like a full of spirit guitar solo. Honestly, to me, I like to imagine that he rips out the sickest fucking guitar solo ever performed by mankind as the life fades from his body.
Like, he doesn't kill himself, he just dies from...
No, he fucking slits his throat or some shit. And then he decides to go out like a fucking champ.
Holy shit.
Just playing guitar until he passes out.
That's violent and awesome.
See, that's what I feel. That's like the violent and awesome imagery that it gives me.
So, like, it's hard to say... Because, I mean, like, I'm absolutely, totally fine with that being the ending, because holy shit, that's crazy. But then the actual thing that comes right after is also very open to interpretation and whatnot. The last section, the grand finale, bombastic outro with the whole band going to town on their instruments. Attention all planets of the Solar Federation, we have assumed control. Is it the priests? Is it the elders? I want to know what you think. I genuinely want to know what you think, because you've talked to me about it before.
Yeah. Here's what I think. I think the music that's all the instruments going fucking mental before the lyrics actually come in the grand finale is a battle between the rebel forces of the ancient people or whatever and the Federation. And you can imagine it of one of two ways. Federation loses, and that's the rebels saying we've gained control, or the Federation wins, and they are relaying the message to all of their citizens that they have complete control now because the only thing threatening them is defeated. Okay. I think it makes slightly more sense lyrically for the rebels to have won, because I'm not sure if that's what the Federation would be saying. They already kind of had control.
Yeah, they already had. That was my one piece of evidence. I was like, they already had control. Why would they say they have more control?
Yeah.
Or they have complete control. I don't know. Yeah, I do like to think that the rebels won. I also like to think... Have you seen Mad Max Fury Road?
No.
Okay, so there's one completely an off-topic thing. I just imagine the rebels coming flying in on ships, like... Mad Max style, one person attached to a bunch of hooks on the front of the ship playing guitar, and fire coming straight out of the guitar's neck, which is what happens in the film.
See, this sounds like something that would have been on 6969.
Maybe that is a real thing that they did in the movie, though. That's you need to see that shit. That's crazy. But I wish you knew what I was talking about, because it looks insane. It'd be funny in the battle being like this whole like hard rock thing going on while they're all like Mad Max crazy looking asses, just like we're back to rule the world. I wish you knew that. That's funny though. Anyway, yeah, that's literally that the song ends. The fucking 20 minutes. I don't know. I don't know.
And that's how it makes me feel. That's how this makes me feel. The song ends. When 2112 is over, you fucking nutted the first time you listened to that.
I did. I do remember that. It's because I'm talking about Mad Max that I went off on a completely different tangent. I forgot I was talking about 2112. But yes, fucking 2112. What the hell? It is. Of course, we're explaining it to you. So it may not be as captivating as actually listening to 2112. In fact, it is probably more captivating.
Hey, dude.
But
this is like telling a joke. This podcast is like explaining jokes.
Fucking 2112. What a fantastic fucking prog song. I genuinely like wish I could re-experience it again for the first time, like I did that first time, because like this was also like kind of you were kind of like telling me what was going on along the entire time, so like hearing it all come together and being like, whoa, that's really fucking cool. It was the innocence of like watching it for the first time is so cool. And even then, coming back to it now, finally listening in context of the record, it's I stumble because I said the record. This is an album, and this is song number 1.
Yeah. Are you ready to move on to the weed song?
Yeah. Yes, I am. I am so happy to get to
Bangkok. Passage to Bangkok.
Every 12-year-old's favorite word. So after the magnificent
No, every
journey,
12-year-old's favorite word is PewDiePie.
I
feel like that I just aged myself by making that joke. Is PewDiePie still relevant?
Possibly. I don't know.
You know what? That's gonna make me start feeling old. I don't want to think about it. Weed song.
Remember last time I watched the PewDiePie. Whatever. Weed. Pass it to Bangkok. Weed. Yay! This song is literally just about the band traveling around to places that grow weed and smoking.
Yep.
It's fun.
And it's the second or third best on the album.
Somehow it is relatively high up just because of how memorable and fun it is. I genuinely like normally I'd be bitching about how this just doesn't feel like it fits in the album, but who gives a fuck? It's about weed. It's about going on a train, finding some weed, and it's cool. Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun. The chorus is very fly-by-nighty.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of the sound that they developed in that album. What's neat and what catches your ear, I think in like the first 10 seconds, is Alex on the guitar does an interpretation of the Oriental riff, the but
yeah, I don't know where the fuck that's from. I still don't know
it's from Western music. It was never it didn't originate in any part of Asia, which is hilarious.
I was gonna say, is it tasteful?
One of the first times it ever showed up was the screenplay of Aladdin.
What the fuck?
But I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I did 10 seconds of research, but what's cool about it is Piano Time. Actually, usually it's using the minor A minor scale, and is usually what you hear. But instead of the minor third, they actually raise it up to a major third. So it's recognizable, but it still has enough of a unique flair to stick with you. And I like how literally just raising a single note by a half step is enough to do something unique. That's a good idea, Alex Lifeson.
Yeah, completely going back to the song, like more specifically, I am fine with hearing this humorous track, especially after 2112, because it just changes the mood of the album, and it still fits. It still fits the sound. It melds better for some reason on here than it does on Caress of Steel, where Caress of Steel kind of felt a little scattershot in nature.
Yeah, and it definitely melds better than the Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone. Yeah, this one I literally read that they just kind of like we wrote this song, let's add it on the album because we have another spot to fill. Let's write it about the Twilight Zone. Yay!
It's a nice tribute, but
It is a nice
the mixing sounds wrong to me.
Does it? I didn't notice.
I don't know. For some reason, the mixing on Getty's vocals has always sounded weird on the song. I'm really not a fan of it. Again, it's a nice tribute, but it doesn't really grab my interest. And the ASMR in the last chorus literally makes it unlistenable to me.
I'm not bothered by that, so I can't relate. But I will say that something about it, like the idea that of course Getty and the band and all of them are inspired by the show, and its creator Rod Sterling. Of course, it's a tribute to him, but it's taking that into context of like their wider discography. A lot of Rush songs kind of fit into that weird storytelling thing where it's just like episodic. So that connection just kind of does make sense to me that they would be inspired by a show like this. So
yeah,
I don't know. Something about it is interesting to me in that sense. And the guitar harmonies at the beginning. Good God, I love that. And the guitar solo.
I think the guitar solo's all right.
Oh.
It didn't really catch my ear too hard, but it was good. The best thing that came out of this song for me was me watching the episode Would the Real Martian Please Stand Up from the Twilight Zone because of this song.
Oh. Did you like it?
I am horrifically interested in the Twilight Zone now.
Oh, no. Here we fucking
This
go.
shit looks fucking great, and I'm about to start a Twilight Zone podcast.
Oh, no. That already exists, Matt. We both know that.
And I don't know what you're talking about. The Twilight Zone hasn't existed for like fucking 50 years. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, that's actually not true. They did do a reboot on like HBO Max or something, I'm pretty sure.
No, it's existed for at least 50 years.
Oh, it's existed for 50 years, but it came back.
The having a new one doesn't change the length of that. So
Whatever.
time works. Julian, do you need to
I misheard you. Let's move on.
Lessons. Alex Lifeson did the lyrics. They're fine.
Yay!
Oh, genuinely? Do you genuinely want to hear my notes on this song?
Yeah, I know what it is.
Okay. Alex Lifeson lyrics, exclamation mark. They're fine, no punctuation.
That's it. I knew you were going to
Second
say
note.
like that because
It's a song.
this is probably just by being the least interesting to me, my least favorite on the album. It's like seems to be about lessons from the past influencing on the lessons you teach now, parents-child relationships. It's sweet, it's acoustic. It does its job. You know what? It does its job. I'm fine with that. And it's just not remarkable enough for me to go crazy over, especially compared to, I don't know, something like Bangkok, where it's like fucking, here's a song about weed that's just like, whoa.
Especially compared to any singular movement off of 2112.
Yeah, pretty much. And not to say that, like, as I said last time, that I was like, maybe I'm getting tired, at least on Crest of Steel, maybe I'm getting tired of, like, the hard rock sounds that Rush presents, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the uninterestingness of this song in particular that I just don't like.
It was boring, but it definitely didn't bore me to tears. The next song, Tears.
Which Tears didn't bore me. In fact...
yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna let you get your opinion out first.
I like the slowdown, but it's still just not really grabbing my attention. I really like the outro. I wish the outro was longer. It's cool for pacing in theory, but not great in execution. That's my opinion. I rest my case. Court adjourned.
My case here today is that this may be my favorite Rush song. Ever.
Really?
It's a weird pick, right? It's a weird fucking pick. Considering this is like the farthest from what you might consider Rush's main sound, you know what I mean? But something about the atmosphere and the slow balladry on this one, backed by the mellotron strings and the bittersweet just sound that it brings, something about it hits me instrumentally so hard. That's not even like in an impressive way. It's just beautiful. I just love beautiful music, and this is simply absolutely beautiful to me. I love it so much.
Yeah, I can't deny that, but I don't know, for some reason it just doesn't do anything for me.
It's being a favorite's a bit weird. I mean, it is a favorite. It's certainly not the best Rush song I've ever heard. It's better than like the other. I feel like it's one of their best like ballads at least. I like this better than Rivendell at least.
I definitely like Rivendell more than this song.
I figured you might say that, but still, I really like Tears. The lyrics, they're a bit vague to me. I'm not the biggest fan of them. It seems to be about sharing loss, I think, in a relationship.
It's sharing something.
Grief. Yeah, grief or loss or tears or maybe emotional moments together. I'm not sure. Yeah, Geddy Lee did write the lyrics for this one.
Yeah.
So it was a little vague. But, of course, also Lee's quiet lower register takes center stage here again. Absolutely love it. And it's also, I mentioned the Mellotron, it's also the first time an artist outside of Rush has been featured on one of their songs. Hugh Sim, or Syme, I'm not sure, I'm definitely butchering that. He's the artist for 2112's album cover. He played the Mellotron on this track.
Huh.
Yeah, so first feature, I guess, by someone that's not Rush. Which is cool, because that means that Rush wrote every single song by themselves up to this point. That's fucking cool. And they still are, I'm sure. But still, that's awesome. Good fucking job. For a band, that's fucking great. Yeah, Tears just happens to be a personal favorite. I don't know. I think it's just growing on me with every listen.
Apparently Alice in Chains did a cover of this. I need to hear that.
I need to hear that.
That sounds like that's going to be fucking great. But...
Okay.
Yeah, not for nothing, but this song is pretty good.
Yeah.
Just like Something for Nothing.
God damn it.
Honestly, this is my third favorite on the album.
It is actually maybe my second least favorite, because I honestly, to be just completely frank with you, I don't really remember it. I remember it lyrically. I like the lyrics a lot on here.
Only songs I remember that aren't 2112 are Passage to Bangkok, Something for Nothing, and Twilight Zone.
I don't know. This one, it's a good Rush song. What else? Yeah. I don't really have much to say besides
That's
that.
all it is.
The lyrics for me are the things. It's about being passive, how it won't get you anywhere. You've got to take that into your own hands and do what pushes you to change into whatever person you want to be. It's freedom and creativity, and that's kind of what 2112 was kind of about. So it's a similar idea and just a different interpretation of it, and I love it for that reason. Mm-hmm. Music's good.
It's a good execution of a simple idea lyrically.
Right. Music good.
And not to not to finish this album how I kind of started it, but weirdly enough, I hear some NSP, Ninja Sex Party, in the chorus.
What the fuck?
Hey, they are insanely inspired by Rush.
I know that, but it's just like...
Specifically something off of Strawberries and Cream.
Okay. You mean you Rush in NSP's music, not NSP in Rush.
I'm hearing NSP and Rush, dude.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure Alex Lifeson knows Danny Sexbang.
Knows Danny Sexbang by name, is inspired by Ninja Brian and his adventures. How funny. I do like that on the side that just Danny is a big fan of Rush. I think it's just cool. It's cool to see. But yeah, that's it. That's the end of the album. Yay! For an album like 2112, I thought it would have a bigger ending. But I don't know. I've heard a lot about it. But of course, this is before I went into it.
Everything you have heard, every bit of hype, every bit of I love this that you've heard from people about 2112, you've been hearing about the first song, because that's you can hurt me for saying this, but that's the only reason I would ever listen to this album is for the first song.
It's a Caress of Steel situation, It's not exactly the same. It's like it follows the same formula. It's reversed in a sense. You have songs that are attached to the other side of the record, and then the two big or one big prog song that takes center stage. So And not reason I at least feel that I'm going into my final. The reason I at least feel more, I guess, attached to this record than I do Caress of Steel is because at least these songs pace well out to the album. You know, the pacing of it is at least pretty good, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you start from 2112 and go to the end, unlike Caress of Steel, which kind of just like it feels more disjointed.
Ending with the massive pieces, or sorry, ending with the like masterworks is a lot worse of an idea than starting with them.
I think so, because my goodwill from 2112 probably carried over to some of these tracks anyway. If not the fact that they were just written better, they are solidified as this progressive rock mainstay for me at this point. So any work of theirs, it just seems to be improving in songwriting and instrumentation. And 2112 is probably the best prog rock song they've done this far. So.
Mm-hmm.
It's
and some people would argue that it is their best song. A lot of people would argue it's their best. I don't think I would say that.
I don't know. I haven't sat through the rest of Rush. You know a little more Rush than I do, so you
are starting.
I know that the next one is your favorite. So. I'm wondering what it's gonna sound like, what it's gonna be like. That, and then I want to see what Hemispheres is about, and I especially want to see what Signals is about.
What? Spoiler to Feral Kings, it's better.
Oh yeah, I figure it's probably better, but you know, I'm still going into this blind. And to be fair, going into this blind I'm enjoying the journey so far. In fact, I'm really liking Rush a lot. This is a really fucking good band. In my opinion, now that I can at least form my own opinion, now that I've listened to them. Yay! 8 out of 10 for me on this one. I like the pacing better on this one, even though it has similar issues, and 2112 does carry a little more goodwill for the album, but it's not... It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to do too much for me to be impressed on this one, where it's just like, yeah, it's a good Rush song. I can't talk about it that much, but I can enjoy it a lot. In fact, quite a bit.
This album is a weird case to me, because if 2112 was the only song in the album, it would be a 10 out of 10, no question. One of the best albums I've ever listened to in my entire life. Literally life-changing. I owe everything to this album. But it has more songs on it, so it has to jump down to a 7 for me, just because of how nothing those songs are to me.
Hot damn. That's for me, it's weird that, for you... The first one's like a 6, and then the last 3 are like 7s.
Yep.
I don't know. I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, I do feel similar to that, but something about some of these other songs on here where I think I just enjoy a little more. And I don't have much to talk about them, like I said, but I think about the Twilight Zone a little more than I do Lakeside Park, or I think I'm going bald.
No, this is a higher 7 than Caress of Steel, but here's the thing.
I figure.
Self-titled is a high 5 to a low 6. Fly By Night is a very mid-tier 7. Caress of Steel is a very slightly... As an album, it's a very slightly lower 7, and then 2112 is almost an 8.
Yeah.
So,
okay. I mean, it's all in the same range, but I'm I'm still waiting to see when it's like, oh, shit. This is crazy. And I know that I was about to say Rivendell. Well, what's that one song on Farewell to Kings?
Madrigal.
No, not Madrigal. There's another one.
It's closer to Rivendell. Closer to the Heart, Cinderella Man, Cygnus X1, the first book of Cygnus, Farewell to Kings, Xanadu. Xanadu is my favorite Rush song.
Oh, okay. Interesting. But yeah,
so...
That's the one I've heard, and that's when I remember being like, oh, shit, let's go. Okay. So, distracting from everything, the reason I've dragged this out so long is because I have not picked an album for next week.
Hey, can I pick for you?
No, you may not.
You want something boring and easy?
I don't know what I'm going to pick. Give me a minute.
Okay.
All right. I thought about it. Let's start getting into that
That.
Post
Nicosaur.
punk. No.
Oh.
Let's start getting into that garage rock revival scene with "Is This It" by The Strokes.
Oh.
Don't worry, Matt. It's not that hard, but it is a pretty good one and a pretty big album.
Oh. Okay.
It's only 35 minutes. You'll be fine.
Oh, that's a lot.
What do you want, a 20-minute album? Let's do Yay by Kanye West. Oh, God. Alrighty, then. Let's fucking go. I'm actually pretty excited to cover this one because I haven't listened to the Strokes in a while.
I've been needing to listen to the Strokes for like 7 years now, so I'm glad I'm finally starting.
This is a good album to start with, and it is probably going to be a similar situation to... I hate to use this comparison.
Blurry Face.
But Weezer. No, Weezer. Blurry Face. No, I'd say Weezer has.
Vessel.
No.
Ocean Eyes.
Sure. Let's
Morning
go.
Phase.
No.
Green. Malatroy.
Fuck you.